5G for virtual and augmented reality. Survey on use of 5G in virtual augmented reality applications. Produced by Shuai Wang. This survey will discuss a hot topic about 5G for virtual reality and augmented reality by answer 3 questions. So first one is, what is virtual and augmented reality and what are the choke points in VR and AR? Why and how can 5G solve these problems? The last question is, what does the VR and AR could be with 5G support in the future? So first of all, the VR is a technology way to create a fully immersive computer simulated world that people can experience the world through head-mounted display and interact with environment by hand or controller. And the augmented reality AR is a similar technology to VR, but instead of showing the virtual world in the closed space, the additional information or artificially generated item or content are showing based on current environment, like use AR to catch a Pokemon in Pokemon Go. So there is many different ways to use VR and AR. It can be enabled into different areas in play, learn, and community. For example, VR and AR can be used on playing games. Based on the feature, AR is more suitable for outdoor mobile games, and VR could provide a more immersive experience on indoor game. VR and AR also could be used in communication area. Communicate with others become more visual and more like to chat with a real human instead of just hearing sounds or watching limited screen video. Here is some choke point of VR and AR. VR and AR are both highly reliant on the network performance. VR requires about 7 gigabits user throughput with a latency of 10 microseconds. For current VR equipment, most of the time using HDMI cable to connect between headset and the computer like the figure shows. This is an inconvenient way to make a movement. The user only can move within the range of the cable, and there is a potential danger if the cable straps the feet. The best solution for this is using a wireless connection between VR headset and the computer source. However, based on the current 4G networks, the serious limitation of capacity and latency cannot provide the required data to support the quality of the user experience. The inconvenient way to operate VR equipment with a low capacity and high latency, the user will receive an unstable and snatchy experience that causes VR is not as effective and popularized as smartphone in people's life. Since 4G and LTE have been development many years, the improvement is expected that only small amount of spectrum can be increased. So 5G is the next step to lead the world into the next generation of internet connectivity. As we know, the 5G is coming by 2020. The World Research Group has expected 5G is 10 times improvement in throughput, 10 times decrease in latency, 100 times improvement in traffic capacity, and 100 times improvement in network efficiency over 4G. When we discuss the 5G challenge and the benefit, data rate and latency will be considered as 2 significant parts. The different application will have different requirements for data rate and latency. For example, high-quality video stream will require very high rate on data capacity, but it's not necessary to make the latency over low and reliability very strong. Compared to the auto drive car system, it will require the least latency and very strong reliability during the process to keep all passengers to be safe. However, for most of the time, when the network applied on the VR and AR, both capacity and latency have to be considered to be able to create the best virtual world experience. So the high capacity and the data rate of 5G. The area capacity is how much data the network could provide to bits per second per unit area. As the 5G standard required, the area capacity could increase 1,000 times from 4G to 5G. To achieve this improvement, we need to consider three main methods to improve the area spectrum efficiency, increase the bandwidth, and increase the spectrum efficiency. So based on the Nyquist formula, C equal to 2 times B log 2M. One way to increase the capacity is to use the smaller cells. When cell shrinks, it will improve the reuse efficiency during the spectrum across the physical area and reduce the chance to compute the resource at each base station. We could make cells smaller and at the same time to keep the SIR constant until there is only a single user to every base station to be worked. The cell should be considered to be able to properly associate between user and base station when serving on multi-radio access technology, the RAT. This will make the edge rate down at the same time. The multi-RAT association, as the figure shows, the network development in the progress, many network standard and technology will towards to 5G standard. The new 5G enabled device will absolutely apply on 5G standard to receive the benefit of the performance improvement with associated new technology such as microwave. Also, it should be efficient on 3G, 4G, LTE unlicensed, the different version of Wi-Fi, direct device-to-device communication, and other useful bands. Multi-RAT connect to different user and base station, and they are all work together to process the signal, like the figure shows. So when we switch back to the VR and AR, 5G will have over 1 GB bandwidth, means it will provide better quality screen. For the next generation of video, which include HDR, 360-degree, 8K resolutions, and 90 plus FPS, and more features, it will require 200 megabits to 1 GB bandwidth, which is afforded by 5G and unafforded by current 4G network. Also, the multi-user application will consume more data rate than we expect in the current situation. And the high capacity also means the high buffer space. It decides the highest performance that VR and AR could achieve. At the same time, in next 10 to 20 years, before the 6G generation coming, 5G with its high capacity will provide enough buffer space for the VR and AR design, not only for the device, but also for the VR and AR application design. So the low latency part of 5G on VR and AR, latency is one of the most important factors that affect interactive AR and VR user experience. The current 4G network can maintain round-trip time latency to 15 megaseconds, and the best case is down to 1 megasecond. The 5G network should be able to make the round-trip time less than 1 megasecond, and the best case time is much lower than it. So the time division, to be lower down the latency, the time division duplication TDD is considered a more attractive duplication method than frequency division duplication in the 5G decent deployment environment, as spectrum flexibility is seen more important than coverage. So the time division duplication TDD, by dealing with the increased data rate and simultaneously lower down the latency is required on every baseband system. It leads the transmission process to be shorter block data in each cycle and more block in frequency. Also, to make the latency lower, the link switching time in each point and the time of user handle each data rate should be faster than before. As there is a scheduled system shown on the graph, it can help us to limit it and control the latency. A round-trip transmission of data could be controlled and processed by many TDD cycles. It's as the figure shows, a scheduled system works on a UE data. In this case, the initial data from UE needs 4 TDD cycles to process on a scheduled system. Once the initial data come out from user UE, it is waiting for request resource opportunity and request data and source signal in UL. Then there is a signal that processing by EMB will respond the grant for UL and DL data to UE. There is at least one TDD cycle to transmit the real data signal from UL and DL, with the corresponding acknowledgement. Finally, by minimum enable UL and DL switching time, we can limit the total air interface latency for this process. If we make the link switching to be faster and flexible and make the TDD switching guard time shorter between each link direction, we could control and make the air interface latency keep in a low time range. The densification network also another way to make the latency lower. It provides smaller cell size, wider frequency, and larger bandwidth could reduce air interface latency by making the enabler remarkable. The smaller cell spreads the delay to multiple cell delays, and it will decrease the time during the process of current signal direction. Also, wider frequency and larger bandwidth will cause the delay spread and then decrease the latency. The shorter cyclic prefix CP and garden period GP times compared to the existing system, by the shorter gather time, we can expect the 5G new radio should come with shorter frame and be able to switch the link direction more frequently. Further, the shorter OFDM symbol corresponds to large subcarrier spacing, which is robust to the increased oscillator phase noise at higher carrier frequencies. This property can further be utilized to design 5G dense deployment optimized physical frame structure. So for VR and AR, lower down the air latency will directly optimize the user experience by reducing the interaction time and reaction time. In other words, it will solve the lag problem. The lowest number of the frame per second that human could distinguish is 24 FPS. Below that, user will obviously see the lag and the inconsistency image. By running the high quality of video information in VR and AR application, the large latency will appear more frequently in the current network situation, and it will cause the unsafe FPS for the user. As the figure shows, based on the current technology, the three main ways to deliver latency of a round trip is around 1 to 2 microseconds of telecom age, 20 to 50 microseconds of telecom cloud, and 50 to 100 microseconds of public cloud. In some bad situations, when the latency is 100 microseconds, it may cause the FPS lower than 10 during the streaming or video message transmission. It will be unsaved on the video. By 5G new generation, the air latency will have a large downflow which should be lower than 1 microsecond. So we can expect the influence on the telecom cloud and public cloud latency down by 5G network enhanced. So in the future, 5G will convert VR and AR technology by bringing higher capacity, lower overall latency, and a uniform experience. As well as the 5G and VR technology become mature, we can expect many next generation VR experience with 5G. Here is some example of future VR and AR applications and devices with 5G network. An immersive gaming experience. The user will play in a high-resolution quality world in the virtual world. Everything will feel real and vivid. Every action the user made will have a proper response during the very low latency time. The automotive video stream. User can stream in a moving car through VR. The crowded event sharing. You can sit in home and use VR to experience a crowded venue. And the 6DF immersive content. This is next generation video and provide an immersive experience during the show. The user can move freely in the world when the video is showing. And another thing is remote control tactile internet. People can display, transmit, and interact with different information directly by hands or remote control to solve problems, analyze data, and assign a task. Here is an example of AR glasses. The future AR experience will be part of our life, as the AR glasses shows on the figure. Through the glasses, you can see the useful information directly, such as the time, weather, important schedule. You can make a search by voice control, and it will list the result on the screen that showed on the real world, such as on a table or even directly in the air. You can make a VR video just recording what you are watching, and the video could be shared to your friend, and they can completely follow your step to experience it. These everyday AR glasses will make people's life much more efficient, convenient, and technological sense. The applications which deliver an immersive experience to the end user, such as virtual and augmented reality, remain at the forefront of driving higher data demands in the mobile network. VR and AR will have an unstoppable trend to step into people's life in the future. Like smartphone change the way of how people live, VR and AR will have a large possibility to change the way again and make it better than ever. Thanks. Here's some reference that I used.